And hello, Texas. Don't turn that dial. This is the Fly Mackey Show, and I'm your host, Fly Mackey. Good to be with you tonight. It's getting chilly out here in the great state of Texas, I'm telling you. Anyway, hello, Corpus Christi, Houston, College Station, Beaumont, Texas, Lake Charles, Louisiana, Tallahassee, Florida, and all points around the country. Great to be with you tonight. And hello, America. Fly Mackey here once again with the Fly Mackey Show. Good to see you tonight. Wow is all I got to say. There's so much going on in this country. It is just insane, some of the stuff that's going on. I want to see what that input looks like. Yes. And then we're going to record. Okay, great. All right. Now let's close that there so we know we're recording. Okay, America, it's okay. It's a lot of work running a TV network, I can tell you. Okay. And there we go. All right. And it is recording. And that's the way it works. Okay. All right, we got a show coming up here in just a second, and we're gonna play that. It's Christopher Inks, and he does an interview. He has an interview going on with Gary Cardone, and we're gonna play that here in just a few minutes. We're going to share the screen. Share. We're going to play this here in just a second. But in the meantime, let's see what's going on in the market. And there's Bitcoin right here. Let's share this tab. Bitcoin's trading right at $104,199. I haven't seen, in my opinion, I haven't seen Bitcoin this bearish in a long, long time. Now, when I say bearish, I don't mean the market's going down. I just mean the way it's been trading. And you can see here that it is, and we're only going to take a few minutes on this because we're going to go live and we're going to do that show here in just a second, Christopher Inks and Gary Cardone. But you can see here how this is from, and this is a 4-hour chart, but this is from the 17th. This is from the 20th. So 9 days ago. Let's take this right here from when it hit its high. To now. And then you see here, now it's come up above this. It's come up above this lane right here. For those of you who follow me and know how I chart, and just showing the basics of the direction on a scale where a 5-year-old can follow me. Because I was talking with some engineers today, and man, it was like I knew what they were saying, but I couldn't process it because my brain doesn't process that way. And I had to tell one of the engineers, you have to talk to me like I'm a 5-year-old. You have to, because what you're saying, even though I'm computing because of my years in the business, and I kind of get what you're saying, I'm not tracking with you on the path and the quickness that I should be tracking. So as you're moving forward 2 or 3 minutes down the road, I'm still tracking what you said back there. So you dummy it down for me. And there's nothing wrong with making things simple for people to understand. I can tell you that. The simpler you can make it, the better. So whenever I'm charting, by the way, I'm a big fan of Christopher Inks. He's a world-class analyst, trader, you name it. This guy's got it going on. And Amber and I followed this guy for a long time, and it was students of his. Anyway, just an excellent, excellent source and a host. And we're going to play a little bit of an interview, and then down the road here, we're going to play some of his stuff to give him some traction out in the broadcast television world. Okay, let me get over here. But anyway, this is what's going on with Bitcoin. We've got about a minute here, and then we're going to play the video. So I hope you guys enjoy that. Christopher, anyway, Gary Cardone, and which they're going to talk about some amazing things, which is going to blow your mind the first 10 minutes or so of the interview. We already know that. I'm going to have to tell him about that. Let's get ready. You're going to love this interview. It's a great interview.
All right, welcome everyone to another exciting episode of our podcast here. Today we have a very special guest joining us, Mr. Gary Cardone. He is a renowned entrepreneur, investor, and expert in the world of cryptocurrencies and macroeconomics, which makes him a perfect guest on the show here. With his extensive experience and keen insights into the global financial system, Gary's made significant impact on both the blockchain and investment sectors. He's an investor in Node 40 and a partner at Card One Ventures. He's been instrumental in the growth and success of numerous business and ventures throughout his life. We're truly honored to have him with us today to share his wisdom, discuss the future of crypto, and explore the ever-evolving global economic landscape. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming the one and only Gary Cardone to our show.
Thank you.
How are you doing there, Gary?
Good, doing well, thank you. Down
Great,
here
man.
in sunny St. Pete, Florida.
You can't beat it, right?
Can't complain too much.
Though I do believe in that area is probably the one of the lightning capitals of the world or something.
Yeah, that's right. The lightning capital of the world, I think.
Gotta watch out for that. So listen, man, you've forged this heck of a road to get where you are today. You've had this really kind of just amazing career so far. And so tell me, how does a young man fresh out of Lake Charles, Louisiana, go from an energy brokerage company in Houston during the 1980s to now being part of, having an investment in the leading analytics and financial information platform for cryptocurrencies today?
If someone would have told me when I was 20 this was going to be my path, it would have probably terrified me. I probably wouldn't have taken the journey. So one little step at a time is the way you get there in reality. When I left school, I didn't join a brokerage firm. It was actually a principal holder of risk. I've never actually worked for any company, and I think any experience I have has not been from the sidelines. It's actually been from an active player where you're putting your money to work. The first job is basically, it was natural gas clearinghouse down in Houston. I think I was the number 12 commercial employee. That company was, within 3 years, there were 600 people there. I started getting really nervous when that many people came. And, then you get structure and HR and people start telling you what you got to wear to work and all that stuff. Now I started going a little crazy, but I left a really well-renowned oil and gas company that I wasn't happy at. I knew that my personality didn't fit well at this company. It was a great job. I was making 70 grand a year, 25 years old, 26. And sought out this job at Natural Gas Clearinghouse because my instincts told me I really needed to be there. There were really smart people there that I respected. I didn't quite know why I wanted so badly to be there, but I would have literally taken the job for zero. And for me, that's a message to anybody in their 20s to 45, 50 years old. If you're like, your career is stagnated, you're finding yourself around technology and your industry is undergoing tremendous pressure, look out where there are platforms that allow you to be who you are and really flex your muscle in the way that I believe everyone has a special gift, but most people don't find the platform where they can. I mean, look at Michael Jordan, right? Awesome basketball player, didn't do so well in baseball. Now, I'm not demeaning him. I'm just saying the platform of basketball was better for him than baseball. And maybe if he'd have started in baseball, it would have been a different deal. Spent 17 years there at Natural Gas Clearinghouse. It would become a Fortune 30 company in less than 10 years. Back then, it was like we were building unicorns back then. We didn't even have a name for it. I mean, we didn't like label it. But 12 guys, $30 billion corporation. Enron's up there. They're worth 70 billion at their peak. We built this on the back of nothing. I mean, literally through working with lobbyists and regulators in the United States to open the pipelines up. Back then, for those guys that don't remember this, but pipelines and grids that carry electricity were not open highways. They were closed highways only for those who either produced energy or consumed it. And people like us, after 30 or 40 years of all that infrastructure being in place, guys like us came to the market and said, look, these pipes have been paid for 8 million times over. Why don't we open them up like a tollway? And everyone, if it costs 3 cents to move a kilowatt of power or a decatherm of energy, then 3 cents should be available for everyone. And that really opened what I call the commoditization of energy, which I build the case that it is the most important resource and product that literally defines whether a country, a sovereign, is a first world, second world, third world nation. Now, if you could think with that and think also with where we're headed today, trying to digitize money, if you could commoditize, and let's think about this. What are we really doing when we commoditize natural gas? We're really digitizing a paper contract between you and I to deliver at the Henry Hub or the National Balancing Point in the United Kingdom, or now in Belgium or Germany, who is like on the back end of a monster demand problem. Really a monster supply problem that we interrupted through an active war, in my opinion. Anybody else would have done that, we'd be at serious war today.
Exactly.
I'm talking about the pipelines, the Nord Stream pipelines that got blown up 5-6 months ago, which is a whole conversation in and of itself.
That is.
But if we were able to get a kilowatt of energy pulled away from the utilities and pulled away from the energy producers and commoditize that in a way that it trades in a half hour, I am really certain that all goods and services, and this was my construct for going into the payments industry when we built the disputes business, that has been an awesome business that I have since exited. But that business was based on, you cannot have refunds, chargebacks, disputes, all these broken transactions occurring on a pack of batteries. That does not happen in energy. Okay. In the United Kingdom, I spent 10 years there with the government building reforming the way the pricing structures work between electricity and natural gas for all the players in the European sector, that market is flawless today. There is no force majeure. There is no, oh, there was a hurricane and it knocked over my production. The lights went out somewhere. Like, you're showing up with kilowatts or you're showing up with money, one or the other. It is literally a flawless market. No one has any more power over another one. And so if you can do that to energy, I'm certain we can do it to all retail services and products. And we're seeing that today. We're seeing the commoditization of all goods and services.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Because you have the internet, and the internet is like a big crystal bubble that everyone can see in on both sides, supply and demand. And if all the people in between that bubble, the card schemes, the banks, if they all allow us just to see what's going on, we will have an incredible market. The cool thing about energy, I think, is it removes all the opacity. By that opacity, I mean all the lack of transparency that a commodity market requires. And one thing I've really learned in life, and we probably went a little too deep too quick here, is that when there is opacity, when there is a lack of transparency, there is always something someone is trying to hide. Let's go back to Enron's Jeff Skillins and Ken. It's a black box.
Yep.
We get a premium. No, it's a black box because there's lies sitting in the black box. And so I think and this is the thing I'm really excited about blockchain and Bitcoin, is the transparency that is available through these tools really removes any indigenous player to have more power over another. And for me, that's a really healthy market where I am rewarded for my good choices, and I am not so well rewarded for my bad choices.
Yeah.
And there are, I don't get singled out. I also don't get grouped in to a problem when other people are having that problem. I can get rid of my risk exposure. So look, this is a world, it's about evolution, right? This is such a natural thing for our world to begin to really understand how these markets are all attached. I would have never thought, starting in energy, I spent 20 years in energy, spent 17 years at one company. Good message for a lot of people. You do not have to own your own business to get really wealthy. There are some businesses I just can't own all of it. It's too big of a credit exposure. You got to have $3 or $4 billion to play in energy today.
Yeah.
That really is not okay. That I can't do that. Maybe I can play at the edges, but some of these other markets, the payments industry, allowed us to build a multi-$100 million business without any outside capital.
It's fantastic.
I mean, we built a fintech without any debt and without any other shareholders. Didn't have to go to Wall Street. We did it the old-fashioned way. Get a customer, build a customer, keep the customer, make a profit on the customer, and keep the customer happy. I mean, this is 12 years now. So I believe that all businesses have to operate at a profit, and that you have to bring a valuable service or technology or product to the user. He has to think it's valuable and has to be priced accordingly. It's real simple at the end of the day.
Well, but aren't most things really? I mean, in life, they really are simple. We just tend to overcomplicate them, right? And I think a lot of that has to do with one. I think human beings just in general are kind of lazy. They like to get where they want to get as quickly and easily as possible. I don't think people are necessarily, evil toward one another. I don't think they're set out to hurt people for the most part.
Yeah.
But just being lazy sometimes is going to hurt or shortchange other people as well. But with all that going out there, again, as human beings, we tend to overcomplicate things. And so I come from an entrepreneur world. I come from a trading world. But especially when we look in trading, and then you look at something as seemingly complex as macroeconomics, there's a lot of moving parts, especially these days. I mean, you're just a bit older than me. And so you've been through this whole thing from, the Cold War up through now. And, you were around before, cell phones were a thing and the internet was a thing. And just seeing how things have changed, over this time here, but it really does seem like, again, even when it comes to macroeconomics, people tend to, I think, overcomplicate it. There are a lot of moving pieces, and you have to pay attention to them. But again, it's this idea that we take 30 things and we try to develop this one idea of what's going on, rather than just kind of stepping back and going, okay, you know, what's important here and where it goes. So kind of with that in mind, and we've obviously got a lot going on with the macroeconomic side of things right now. We had COVID hit a few years back, and of course we had the flush of money, not just from the U.S. but all over the world. And then now, of course, governments are like, "Whoa, we got to deal with that. So let's hike rates at this ridiculous pace before we even seen any response from that." And so today, of course, we had the FOMC. They met today. Quarter basis point rate hike is expected, hinting at a possible pause coming in June. So we get through all this, and so then we have this narrative with Bitcoin. We have this narrative that's been about for the last year, probably now. It was all about digital gold, and now it seems to be inflation hedge, stuff like that. But how do you think that the growing acceptance, and adoption of crypto throughout the world is going to affect traditional financial institutions such as bank and payment services?
I think it's going to have less impact on finance and banking services than the crypto people. And I don't use this word very often, but for this particular answer, the crypto people have maybe overstepped their boundaries as far as what they actually are able to do. The concept of Bitcoin being a retail form of payment and displacing the US dollar, to me, is a gross misunderstanding of how this world works. Yeah. To your point about the macroeconomics, actually to your point about people being lazy, I don't know about the lazy part, but I think what the response, I call the COVID-19 response, I don't think COVID-19 was an issue. I think the response that was done at a global, what appears to be a concerted, collective, collaborative effort, that some of us, including our country, I got people in the United Kingdom still can't come over here easily.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like nobody in America knows that, okay? Yeah. That's part of the macroeconomic missing piece. We are not accessing actual data. We are fed a bunch of bullshit, propaganda. And until you and I, and our families and our friends stop paying for these services, I'm on Twitter Spaces. I was with Mark Yuska yesterday in North Carolina. I was at the Consensus Show in Austin last week. Look, we have to stop. I'm not sure that my vote counts anymore when I go to, but I am certain when I cut CNN off, when I stop buying Spectrum cable, because it irritates me. Only one Spectrum provider in St. Pete. The service is horrible. The price is ridiculous. And what do I get for it? I get CNN, I get Fox, I get a bunch of talking heads. I cut it. I'm like, I'm not supporting you anymore. There are certain retailers. I don't support you anymore. I don't believe in, I don't like when Starbucks opened their toilets to everybody and their brother because they thought that was the humane thing to do. I stopped going there because for me, that is not a sustainable business model. I want to go to a nice, clean Starbucks and the toilet is there for me as a paying customer if I want to use it. I don't want to have to bounce through a crackhead. And I'm like, let's do something to help these people, but it can't possibly be, we're going to start blocking people, allowing everyone to do whatever they want to do. It's like opening the Four Seasons Hotel to an Airbnb.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to I love the Four Seasons Hotel because what I get there, no matter where I'm at, it's pretty much the same thing and it's awesome. So the macro piece, I think the problem with the macro piece is that most people are grossly uneducated about anything outside the United States. Yeah. And I hear this in the crypto world and the Bitcoin community a lot. mostly from the protagonists, from the antagonists, excuse me, the people that don't like this. Our government, some politicians, many of the bankers want to stop this. I think the hubris of their view that they can stop this, 12% and only 12% of the Bitcoin market is comprised of US citizens. There are 350 million people that own Bitcoin, and only less than 48 million of them are in the United States. So this is not a US product.
Right,
This is
right.
a global tool. It's a global technology. It does not require headquarters. It has no CEO. It has no Jesus. It has no God. Okay. And its centralization or decentralization theme or thesis is what are these people talking about? I was with Yuska yesterday. I said, centralization is not the problem. The problem is, for instance, I grew up Catholic. They have a centralized authority called God. As long as God is running the centralized marketplace, the God that you and I trust, I think we're pretty okay. The problem is when, God appoints some delegate, Jack Welch, and Jack becomes the chairman of that centralized authority, or some other guy, right? And that's the problem. Centralization is not really the problem. It's who is running the bloody thing.
Yeah.
And so I think that we have to really understand that this is a global technology. It is not going away. And for the first time in my life, I am hearing people that are extremely wealthy, that have tremendous amount of ability to access any kind of freedom they want, talking about leaving this country.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really like investigating what are my options.
And when you say leaving, you don't mean just like moving, you mean like renouncing US citizenship, right?
No, I don't know that it's total renouncement, but it's, hey, I need another option here, which I haven't heard in such volume. And now, I don't know, the request for exiting the US is at all-time high.
Yeah.
And okay, that's cool. But now I'm hearing billionaires say, hey, I think I'm going to go get a piece in Costa Rica, or there are already a ton of people that have moved offshore to Puerto Rico's, the Cayman Islands of the world. Cayman's probably not relevant for the US citizen, but in other areas that have extradition and tax treaties, different tax rules, I just think that many of the regulators don't really understand this is not a bank. This is a decentralized group of 300 million people. Nearly, in fact, it's larger than the United States, because this 300 million people are all above the age of 18. These are not children.
Yeah.
These are investors in a space. You can say they're all wrong. You can say the price is not right. Warren Buffett can say the price. 300 million people established the price today is worth $28,000 or $29,000, right? That is a market.
Yes.
Okay. There are more people in the Bitcoin community that have established that price than the people have established the price of natural gas today.
There you go.
I mean, that's a fair thing. There's more people that have, I don't know how much volume IBM traded today, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't 300 million people trading IBM stock.
Right, right.
In fairness, 300 million people didn't trade Bitcoin today either. But that's a market. And I grew up in these markets.
Yeah.
4 people, 40 people, 400 people. I mean, determining the size of the prize, that's a market, and you cannot deny it. That is why I say that the investing in the Bitcoin today is a safer investment today than it was when it was $200.
Yeah. Yeah.
Risk reward, adjusted risk, it is a far easier assessment to make. And you can tell that we're close by all the naysayers' responses. I mean, they are going crazy. And I've done this now in 4 industries where I've been at a transformational pivot point for that industry. And you see the indigenous players, the incumbents, the legacy players that are undergoing this type of new pressure, whether it's price pressure, regulatory pressure, or technology. Those are the three things that disrupt legacies, incumbents. The horse and buggy got disrupted by what? A car.
Right, exactly.
Now, they didn't build the roads before they had the cars. They didn't build the seat belts before they had the cars.
Yep.
They didn't build the super tires that didn't deflate before. They didn't build any of the highways or the off ramps. That all got built after the vehicle got built. And what are the farmers saying? Hey, I just need 3 more horses. No, dude, your horses are gone. They're going to be in the field. They're going to be eating hay. And this car thing's going to happen. And, it's going to be too dangerous. People are going to drive over bridges. They did. And then they built rails over the bridges. Yeah. And then we put seatbelts in, like how many years later? 100 years later, we put seatbelts in. So this thing about Bitcoin being the wild, wild west and it's all bad and evil, every industry on this planet has been built.
All starts that way.
You don't build, the landing strip for the aircraft carrier, for the airplane. You build the airplane first, right?
Yeah.
And then you go, gotta land it. Gosh, didn't think that. So, this is a very normal evolution for a business that's going to do transformational work across the globe. And it's colliding with 3 or 4 other technologies all at the same time. And that is the unique thing here, that this planet's never been confronted with this, what I call the 4 tidal waves of change, hitting the entire planet all at one time. Yeah.
No, I agree completely. Same basic things I've been mentioning for a few years now, to anybody to listen. Again, we just kind of going through, everybody acts like, because you always have a bunch of new players who are new to being into industries, new to, they hit 18, they hit 20, whatever, they just get in, they have no real experience. And they're like, oh my gosh. But, when you've gone through, when you've seen it, again, it's just the same thing as you said, just repeating over and over. Every industry starts out the same way. Everything kind of goes into it. So what you said there, especially about cryptocurrency, U.S. involvement in it, in terms of the number of people being, just a small part of it, really. So with that in mind, again, turning toward macroeconomics here, what kind of role do you see that cryptocurrencies are going to play in the global economy, particularly in regards to inflation, interest rates, cross-border transactions, stuff like that? Because again, we are U.S. centric because we're in the U.S. and, let's face it, most Americans, most U.S. residents think the world revolves around them. But as again, there's a big world out there, a lot of people. So how do you kind of see all that?
Well, I want to really differentiate between cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin. So I like the thesis on Bitcoin. I like a limited supply. I like an algorithm, and I like true decentralization. I don't think you can have 400 tokens out there, much less 20,000. What is a token? A token is it's like a debit note, right? It's like a note. I mean, it's not really I have a gift card somewhere in here. That's a token is a gift card. I want to have the ability to transport money easily.
Yeah.
Now, I have some really I was at Consensus last week, met Anthony Scaramucci there and a bunch of other really, really interesting players. And I am really surprised, and Scaramucci's not one of them, by the way. I am really surprised how many professionals are attending these trade shows. And once you talk to them for 3 or 4 minutes, it's so obvious to me who actually has holding Bitcoin and who is just providing accounting services for Bitcoin people. It is still a staggering amount of professionals that have not bought this product.
Yeah.
When people ask me about how I got involved with Bitcoin, and I am a little bit of an odd cat, I do, I acknowledge I'm a little strange. Only way I get interested, like I don't go to card games. I love playing cards. Happy to play cards with anybody I'll travel for a good poker game, not to get hurt, but just to have a good time. But I will not play penny poker.
Yeah.
penny poker ends up with everybody playing every hand. I want to play $100, $500. I want to play poker where, hey, I don't want to bet on the 7 deuce again. Okay.
Right.
It's just too expensive to bet on the 7 deuce. So why do I share that? I first went and bought Bitcoin. I was buying gold. I bought $3 million worth of gold in 2016 at about $1,100. Bought some silver.
Great buy, man.
And I'm not sure it was actually. I'll argue that it was a horrible buy. Relative, I bought $500,000 worth of Bitcoin. I just didn't understand it.
Oh,
now,
okay. Relative
if
Bitcoin.
I'd have done all of that at the same time,
yeah,
we might not even be talking here. Now, I did not buy that to sell it. I bought it to understand it. I didn't buy enough to get my attention. I put it down and I looked at my wife at the time and I said, hey, let's just keep building this business. And we built the business. I actually had a business that cost me, it's an awesome business, but it cost me a lot of money because I really should have dove in deeper earlier. I started getting bored about 3 years ago as our business was pretty much on autopilot. And I really did a deep dive into the white paper. I then invested more money into Bitcoin at a higher price and was even more comfortable with it. And I began adding and adding. As I added, I had to get into a multitude of banks because it was too much volume just to put in I'm not doing 2 Bitcoin. It's a significant position. In this past year, I went through a divorce and I got margin calls on some of my positions because I went down like everybody else, 76%. And I get a margin call, I feel the margin. I don't blow out of my positions ever. I'm not letting anybody blow me out. I'm going to step up. So I started, okay, I got all this gold at $2,000 now. Try to move $2 million worth of gold back to Kitco, okay? A shit show. I could not believe how bad it was at Kitco. They would only let me send like 20 ounces a day.
What?
I had to insure it. So on 100 grand, I got $3,000 worth of insurance, maybe 1,000 something. That's a percentage. The shipping is okay. And hey, you can only send us 10 ounces. We wait 4 days. It takes 4 days to get there. Then they take 4 days to check that the very stuff they sent me is actually the stuff I sent them back and it's real gold. I have to do that. That's 2 months.
Jeez.
2 months to get rid of $2 million, roughly 2 months. I packed all that shit up in my damn car, drove down to a guy in Tampa. He gave me a better price because they're coins. I'm getting a premium. But it was a pain, man. Then I had to wait for a wire transfer for 3 days. Now let's take another example. Twice the amount of money, $4 million. Saturday afternoon, June something last year, when Celsius was breaking apart, Galaxy was imploding, okay? This is the worst day in the history of crypto. 2:30 Saturday afternoon, I moved $3.5 million of digital assets, Bitcoin and Ether, from 5 banking institutions, 5 banks, of which most people had never heard of 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. Took me 8 minutes. Took the receiver 2 minutes to confirm that he had received every bit of it. $12. Didn't get out of my chair and watch the football game.
Man, yeah.
2:30 on a Saturday afternoon. Okay. Moved 3.5 million from 5 institutions flawlessly, less than 10 minutes. The other person receives everything, doesn't have to wait for it. You can't reverse that. I can't file a refund on it. I can't get my money back. This is a big boy game. Yep. Now, when you do that, okay, and I encourage everyone just to do it, okay? Mm-hmm. Just go do it with $1. It doesn't matter. Yeah. You start to really understand how difficult the incumbent legacy financial system is. It is full of stops and blocks. And it's because there's too many people in the food chain. Yeah. There's so many vendors in the food chain, and it's all called security. It is full of security, so much security that it's stopping transactions and it's delaying good commerce. I just think that inefficiencies like this always go away. Okay, you cannot continue a world. People like me are going to come up with a solution that's better than that.
Exactly. Yep.
Better than Western Union. Okay. I wire funds to some lady in Africa, $100, and she ends up with $37. I mean, that's not okay.
Right. Yeah.
It's not a sustainable business. Not when you have transparency. Once the transparency is there, see, people go, wow, $60 to move funds across the world. And what was that, by the way? It was already digitized. It just had Western Union's name on it. It's a digital deal. We're already digitized. This is the only difference is we're not using Bitcoin protocol. Okay. And the central banks aren't going to use Bitcoin protocol. And I maintain the central banks will still not do what I was able to do that Saturday afternoon, which is transact on a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, I mean that's you hit right on the head here. Me when I first heard about Bitcoin was 2010, and I was like, man, this sounds pretty cool. I even set up to mine it, and life just got in the way, never got around to it. Kind of came across it again in 2017 when I was finishing up when I was in the middle of law school, and kind of fell down that hole. I'd been trading, just currencies. I love the FX market. And then prior to that, of course, stocks, futures, stuff like that. And so, but the one of those things, other than it reminded me, oh yeah, this Bitcoin thing is exactly what you said there, the ease of transfer. I mean, it makes it so crazy that you can have, and maybe for some people, maybe their thoughts and dreams and their ambitions aren't high enough. So they're, they don't ever expect to have 10 million or $50 million or anything. But man, when you're getting up there, when you're getting up to, 500,000, a million, you're kind of going like that, and you're looking for ease of transfer, a way to carry that basically with you. It's so compelling as a reason there. But like you said there, you're talking.
Okay, we're going to do a little bit of a break. That was a really good 30 minutes of video there for the Gary Cardone and Christopher Inks, who I'm just a huge fan of. This guy's world class, and he's such a down to earth human. The Texas born, bred and born, great guy. I highly encourage you to seek out Christopher Inks at Texas West Capital. Anyway, that's not an advertisement either, by the way. That this guy is he's just the top of the line kind of guy. Okay. And the kind of guy that you just want to listen to. You can have a really simple conversation. Every time I send him a note saying, Amber and I are big fans of yours. You've helped us out. You've done this and that. And he's always gotten back to us right away and just been a really great guy. Anyway, let's take a look at Bitcoin real quick. And then we're going to go back to this interview. We're going to play about 16 more minutes. And then we're going to put a show together on it. That was a great show the last 30 minutes. So let's take a look at Bitcoin real quick and let's see what's going on. Right now, trading at $104.65 as we speak. Yeah, I've been saying over the last day or two, I haven't seen, and I've been around the industry for a long time, crypto. I haven't seen Bitcoin, in my opinion, this bearish in a long, long time. Now, with that said, that doesn't mean I think it's going down. Will there be a retracement? Maybe. You may have a retracement on it where it drops back down, possibly into the 80s. That could happen before it makes its run, because you got to understand it went from in the 60s up to $90,000 really fast. So, just that retracement there, not saying it would go back to the 60s, but I could see a major retracement. It already came back to 89,000. So it could drop back. Let's say it does drop back. then expect a really, I mean, I'm bullish on Bitcoin. I think it's heading to eventually, probably in our lifetime, $100 million a coin in our lifetime. I see it going there. Hold on one second. We're going to go back. Give me just a second here. Okay, we're going back. They were playing another. They're going to play another one of my shows where I'm talking about velocity banking and the such. I love that subject of velocity banking. It is a great subject to talk about. Yeah, now we're back. All right, welcome back, America. Fly Mackey here with the Fly Mackey Show on Smart Money Culture Television. I'm your host this evening, broadcasting out of the great state of Texas. And so Houston, Corpus Christi, College Station, Beaumont, Texas, Lake Charles, Louisiana, Tallahassee, Florida coming. And we got another channel coming up. I'm not going to say who it is. You heard me say it, but I'm not going to say it right this second. So now you got to watch, okay? But we've got more channels. We're growing. So really excited to bring our network to you. We're starting to play commercials with which we've never done before. And thank you to our partners, those who've loaned us money, stuff like that. When they scream at you and go, you better pay us. It's like the credit card, at the end of the month, they say, hey, you're getting behind on your bills. Anyway, very grateful to our partners and those who are our bankers, so to speak, who's loaned us money. It doesn't always work out like it's supposed to, but it always works out in the end. And I got a saying, and I've heard it said from very successful people, never, ever, ever quit. Never, ever, ever quit. You only lose when you quit. Just remember that. You keep going till it hurts. I don't sleep a lot, but I get up early. I go to bed late. Well, I try not to go to bed too late. 10, 11 o'clock, I want to be. But, 4 a.m., boy, it comes and I just can't stay. So I'm working. You get up. The dogs are like, oh, do I have to move? I don't make them move for about an hour. But after that, they're moving too. And they like it. They like getting up early in the morning. But getting back to this, we're starting to, it's doing the Trump thing where you go all over the place and you come back to the central point. So we're just now starting to play commercials on our television network. If you have a commercial or if you have a business and you'd like to advertise on Smart Money Culture Television, we're only one of 9 full-time business channels in all of America. You wonder why we're so stupid, or let me rephrase it. Why the Americans have been dummied down when it comes to money, and how to just balance a checkbook and stuff, because they don't teach it. They don't teach about buying stuff and investing and saving for the future and new businesses and how to be an entrepreneur and et cetera, et cetera. But anyway, you'll learn a lot of that with the shows that we play here at Smart Money Culture TV. But we're just now starting to do advertisement. So we're real excited about some of these ads that we're playing and that we're hoping to get paid on. That's because you advertise to get paid, right? So if you have a business out there and you're a roofer or some kind of contractor, or you're a lawyer or a real estate agent, or you have a cleaning business, it doesn't matter. And you would like to advertise and say, I never thought I could ever be on TV. TV is expensive, that it is, but I have a deal for you. So you can go to smartmoneyculture.tv. Hold on one second. Where are we at over here? Go right over here to Smart Money Culture, smartmoneyculture.tv. This is our website. And right over here in the top right-hand side, you can see it right there. It says contact. Click on that contact right there, and it'll come up just like this. Put in your information right here and submit it, and then we'll get back to you regarding the any kind of marketing and advertising that you might want to do. Okay, let's get it back up there, and there you go. Here's our site. Here's the fight. Look at that Indian right there. You know, they make you look pretty good when they do your hair and make you wear a shirt. You got a big smile there. These are the cities that we're in. Tallahassee's coming up. We got another one right up here that we're going to be in soon, and probably over in here. So look for us on a channel. We'll let you know because we'll update the map of where we're going to be. Anyway, just so excited to be with you here tonight at Smart Money Culture. We're going to get back to a little bit more of that interview. I think I'm going to go another 8 minutes of babbling here, and then we're going to talk we're going to do a little bit more of that interview so I can put an entire 1 hour show together. But that was a good interview. Gary Cardone talks, he's just a smart cat. And I think when you have, and he talked about how, he put all his money into business. Like, he's not very good at having jobs. Myself, I've gotten fired from lots of jobs, I think you could say, maybe not lots of them, but I'd get a job and they'd say, you know what, Fly, we didn't hire you to be the boss. And we hired you to sweep floors or whatever it was, dial telephone numbers or whatever it was. And I say, okay. But I think, and they go, well, that's your first problem. Anyway, I can tell you how many times I've tried stuff over the years. And I think working for yourself and being an entrepreneur is a great way to go. It doesn't always work out, but the TV business seems to be working pretty good right now, and we're growing and scaling it. So once again, if you have a business and would like to advertise on our network, we have lots of eyeballs on here, and excited to have you. Okay, let's take a look just a little bit more here. Let's take a look at X and see what's going on X here. There's our buddy Christopher Inks right there. You see that they really hammered RFK Jr. today, but I'm telling you, he's a real trooper. This guy is world class. World class. Not going to go through all of this. These guys beat him up today. But there's Christopher Inc. talking about Bitcoin. He says here, Bitcoin top is in for the 1000th time just in this cycle alone. So I don't think, is it in? Well, once again, will it retrace? Maybe. Who knows? It might retrace and maybe it won't. But we're going to all new highs. And I can tell you this, we're not giving out, I'm not giving any financial advice or anything like that. But I can tell you now that Bitcoin, in my opinion, sometime I think in our lifetime, now I'm 62, but I think sometime in our lifetime is going to 100 million. I've been saying this from day one, from when Bitcoin was just a few pennies, that because it has 100 million Satoshis inside. So on the inside, for those of you, because they don't talk about this at all, ever. You see my dog behind me, Capone? There's Mr. Capone right there. The Bitcoin has 1 million bits inside of it, and then it has 100 million Satoshi. So each one of those Satoshis could someday be worth $1, could be worth $5, could be worth $10 a piece, could be worth $100 a piece. But I think, and do I think it's ever going to replace the dollar? No. I think if you read the white paper and you're a studier of your white paper, it was a great complimentary. My hunting dog Blue's right behind me moving around. That is Capone's son. But I think it's a great complementary to the dollar, because there's so many trillions of dollars out there. It's a fantasy to believe that it's going to take its place. But once again, if you look at how many, there's 300 million people, 340, almost 350 million people worldwide who own Bitcoin, and 300 million don't live in the United States. So how can the United States regulate Bitcoin? You can own it. The federal government can come in and buy it. Being the biggest, and you can correct me if you think you know better, but the FBI, largest holder of Bitcoin, the U.S. government is the largest holder of Bitcoin in the world. Then comes China. Then comes Michael Saylor with his MicroStrategy group. With only, I think they got about 224,000 Bitcoin now, but there's still plenty of Bitcoin out there. But what? Let's get back to the point. Some 300 million people who are not even U.S. citizens own the majority of the Bitcoin. You've got about 48 million Americans who have, give or take, and you can go do your own research on this, who own a little bit of Bitcoin. You also have about 40% of all the Bitcoin that's been mined that has never seen the light of day. So, how any kind of government could are going to try to control it, good luck, because it's already out. You'd have to shut the internet down to stop Bitcoin. And even then, get this, and I've been talking about this for years. Even then, we're going to go past I went past 8 minutes. I could get going. I went past 8 minutes. I think at 30 minutes after the hour, we're going to play a little bit more of that, because that's a really good interview with Gary Cardone and Christopher Inks. But you have half the Bitcoin, not half, but about 40%, a little over 40%. And you can go check the facts yourself. You don't have to believe me. But there's about 40% of the Bitcoin that's been mined out of the 19 plus million Bitcoin that's been mined that has never seen the light of day. We know it's been mined. Somebody has it. And there's a lot of people that's mined it. I know a guy back in the day who asked me if I wanted to go mining with them. And, I'm like, dummy me, you know what I mean? But he'd been mining Bitcoin and still is mining Bitcoin to this day, just by himself. And who knows how many Bitcoin he's mined. But once again, and none of his Bitcoin has ever seen the light of day, and probably won't in, in his lifetime, maybe towards the end. And here's a guy who's a simple guy who loves to work, loves to develop. He likes to homestead kind of guy. He's out there living off the earth. He's not living, he's not after the almighty dollar, but he did see Bitcoin at an early stage, like Grant Cardone was talking about. But he said it took him several years before he actually did a deep dive into the white paper. So anyway, Bitcoin being having 100 million Satoshis inside, the reality of Bitcoin becoming 100 million is very likely, in my opinion. Also, too, this is why, if you just owned, if you just owned a little bit of it, who knows where that may go to someday. You don't have to put in hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars, even tens of thousands. You don't have to do. But once again, the just having a little bit Satoshi, I think is probably a good strategy for most people. I don't know. You have to decide that yourself. But once again, as we see this growing, because governments are talking about it, and as the price of Bitcoin goes up, it actually becomes deflationary. Because let's say, at one time it was $10, then it's $300, and what you could buy with that $300 worth, look at it now at 100,000, 104,000, what you could buy with that. So it didn't cost more. It didn't cost more to mine the Bitcoin or to have the Bitcoin. It didn't cost more, but it allows you to buy more with it as the price has gone up. So it's deflationary, and it doesn't cost a large amount of money to print Bitcoin because you can't print it. All right. So anyway, there's a lot of great stuff out here. I mean, I could go on and on and on and talk all day long about Bitcoin and my theories on it and where it may be going. But once again, you got people who think one of them who thinks is probably going to retrace based on some basic charting here. You can see here where I've charted a little bit here where you got this line coming down. This is where it hit the, actually, if you wanted to be, let's go there. That's the top of that mountain, that green candle, and the top of this right here. It's still descending. You see this? So you have a descending mode where it's been going down, 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 down. But that's over what, the last just the last 9 days or so, and doesn't mean that it's going to stay there. So when I say that Bitcoin is bearish, it's only because that's in the trend that it's in. And I haven't seen it this bearish in a long, long time, because people are wanting to take profits. And because it went from 100,000, I mean, goodness sakes, 90 days ago or 6 months ago, it was in the 40s. Okay. And so now, and then it popped up into the 60s and back down, tried to go back down again. So there was a lot of, Bitcoin has made a lot of roadway to get to that 100,000, and a lot of trading is going on. So there's going to be people who want to take profits. And when they take their profits, you can better believe that it's heading back up to all-time highs again, because that's where it's heading. You got too many billionaires, too many countries. President Trump already said, they're gonna reserve it. They're gonna put some of it away, and oh boy, this is gonna get exciting. It's gonna get very, very exciting. Here's something else too. If President Trump, if they can eliminate the IRS, which I think is the smart thing to do, and move those 80,000 agents. You used to not be able to talk about them, but now nobody's scared of them anymore, at least. And I don't think you should be, but cautious, but not afraid like you used to. I think taking those 80,000 agents that they hired, the ones that they gave the ability to have guns, what's up with that? And put them on the border is a great idea. Oh, could you see a fat little guy like me? An IRS agent, little fat guy like me on the border. Come on, cut it out. You got to have a little bit of sense of humor, okay? If you can't laugh at yourself, man, you need to just get out of the public's eye. You get so many people who are so caught up in, saying what they think is right, being politically correct. You can't say that. You can't call yourself a fat little Indian or a fat little Mexican, or you can't call yourself a long-haired, or you there's lots of things they say you can't say. I think having a little bit of a sense of humor helps. I'm digressing now, but let's get back to looking at some of this. This is XRP. Let's take a look at XRP right here. You see where they're at right now, $3.10. They played around, but once again, look at this. You see this same trajectory, the same trajectory that you saw with Bitcoin is what you see with XRP. Same one. Same trajectory. It hit these two highs right here and then went down. You see that? See the Bitcoin right here had hit these highs and it's descending. Now, XRP, if you get, is probably closer to that right there. That's probably the better one. Actually, that one and that one. You see that trajectory right there? So, yeah. You see how it is descending, but when you look at the overall over here of where it's traveling into this lane right here, it's going up. This is going up. Just by looking at the trend, that's all. By looking at the trend, it's been traveling in this lane right here for a while, and this is really the line you want to look at right here, not this one right here, but this is the line you want to look at, because this is when it started moving in December of 24, around 20th, and this is actually charted. If you look here, actually charted back all the way for November 24th. I started charting this and Bitcoin over here, back when, in November. right here. This was October 3rd, and then we started charting the this other one here around November or so, right? Yeah, there you go. A little bit later than that, a few days, about a week or so after that. So anyway, this is what we're looking at right here. It's exciting times, I can tell you that. That don't look at all my scribble. Christopher and those guys, if they looked at my scribble, they'd say, "Man, what are you doing, Mackie?" This is exciting stuff. So, you know, I mean, we're heading. I'm gonna erase this here in a second, but look at that. So it's heading this direction. It may, when it gets to here, it's gonna make a move one way or another. It could go this way, but usually when it comes right there, then it's gonna go one way. You know, it's gonna make a move either down or up. Um, Once again, I think it's very bearish right now. But the in my opinion, you know, I think Bitcoin is going to 100 million. When? Well, you got to get to 13 million first, according to Michael Saylor. You got to get to 13 million because he's been talking on the talk show circuit about it going to 13 million sometime in the next 9 years. I think he said by 34, 35. So sometime within the next 9, 10, 11 years, he believes that Bitcoin is going to be 13 million. I think it's going to hit into the millions a lot quicker than that. But you know, he's a pretty smart guy, you know. So let's see what happens. I want to play a little bit more of this interview. Let's go back to this.
10 million or $50 million or anything. But man, when you're getting up there, when you're getting up to 500,000, a million, you're kind of going like that, and you're looking for ease of transfer, a way to carry that basically with you. It's so compelling as a reason there. But like you said there, you're talking about central banks coming up with their CBDCs. So what do you think? How do you think that's going to impact the future of decentralized cryptos and their role in the global economy?
Well, I have a little bit of a perverted view on this. I'm actually really excited that you have 100 and I think 6 now countries deploying CBDCs. Now, why do I think that's good? I sent my 75-year-old sister the other day $250 off my telephone to her telephone. And it was a test for me to see how long it would take her to figure it out without calling me how to get the money. Once she can figure that out, we have a marketplace that's going to just go absolutely ballistic, because most people don't really know anything about this product other than what Jim Cramer says. And it's all bullshit what he says. I mean, I don't think the guy's gotten a call right in I don't know how long.
It's looked bad lately. It's looked really bad.
But that's why you just clip the cables and don't even listen. I mean, I can go on Twitter space. I'm going to get better media from Twitter, for sure. More accurate media. I mean, it's going to have a bias too. But so my point is, once my sister has Bank of America Central Digital, maybe it's called Bank of America, maybe it's called U.S. government, but I'm going to have 107 options. No, actually, I'm going to have 109. BTC and Ether in my case. I don't participate in the other ones. I don't need to. I don't understand why you would go buy blah, blah, blah. I don't want to make anybody wrong, but I don't get it.
Yeah.
When my Bitcoin and Ether position becomes so massive and I need to go down to the sub tier, awesome. I'll let you know when my position's so big with Bitcoin is like, okay, I don't need any more of this. I want to go get some more juice. You know what happens to the pigs, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, pigs get fat and hogs get just absolutely slaughtered.
That's right.
And it happens every time. And I see a lot of young people really chasing unnecessary risk. But you just if your thesis is right, and my thesis is, gosh, if only 3% of the planet doesn't like having a draconian government control them. Let's just call this 3% the anarchists of the world. 2.5% of the population is psychopathic, in my opinion. So just assume that there's 2.5% of us that are just crazy enough to say, I want to get away with a portion of my wealth over here in Bitcoin. That's the other thing. I think people hear, hey, we're just going to revolutionize the entire planet's financial system. We're talking about a percentage of it.
Yeah.
Like, these worlds are going to live together. You're going to have incumbent finance and you're going to have new technology finance. I think Twitter is going to be a big player in this space because they look, smell, and act like a bank. I think Apple will be too. Google will be. Everyone's going to play in this game. And we can have a bunch of different tokens, but they're all going to be tied to something. I mean, I was listening to something last night. Every currency on this planet is tied to the US dollar.
Yeah.
It's so linked. Some of them are peg linked, like, government linked, but every currency is tied to the US dollar. And I think you're going to have assets that are also tied to Bitcoin. And I actually imagine, I look at everything in Bitcoin terms today. And I like that coming from a commodity background. I have seen oil producers at $10 who said at 70 they could never ever drill at 40. $40 break, I cannot drill. You know what? At $10 and $11, they started figuring out how to frack. Now, that is technology, okay?
Yeah.
Why did the driller figure out how to do that? Because oil drillers do one thing. They drill holes in the ground, man. They don't care about the fucking price. That's what they do.
Yep.
And Bitcoin miners mine Bitcoin, and they're going to mine Bitcoin, and they're going to find the cheapest energy. This is the other, like, it's just a lie. Bitcoin will use the dirtiest energy on planet Earth, get rid of it, and convert it to a usable source of power. Okay, and by power, I mean the ability to buy and move the dirty energy, the dirtiest decommissioned nuclear power plants, decommissioned nuclear submarines, flared gas. You guys in Texas are flaring so much gas. 30% of all the fossil fuel on this planet is complete waste.
Yep.
It's just wasted. So imagine being able to contain that 30%. You're going to get rid of really dirty energy. I'm not one of these carbon believers that we're poisoning the planet. I just don't think that we're doing that much. I could be wrong, but I think we're getting better. And you're not going to solve the problem by one country saying, I'm going green, but everybody else is building carbon.
Yeah.
So it's a very complex problem, but if we got rid of the dirty energy and converted it to something that's useful, that seems to me a lot better than the idea of tapping into a hydro plant that is used for black starts. I'm not going to use hydro plants for Bitcoin mining. That's ridiculous. So you're not going to use nuclear power plants that do baseload. Like, the cool thing about mining is that, in Texas, when you guys have a surge, we'll turn off. We'll flip, man. Like, no problem. We'll be the option. Wind can't do that. Solar can't do that. I don't know many energies that can. Nat gas guys don't like doing it. They will do it, but they're going to price it accordingly.
Yeah.
So I don't see Bitcoin using baseload energy supplies. They're going to use the stuff on the edges. And I think the benefactors of that, oil companies, they know how to resource better than anybody on the planet. They are going to be the miners. And I've thought this for nearly a decade. To me, it's and you're starting to see this. You're starting to see oil companies really look at this, take it very seriously.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense for them.
It makes them ESG. It makes them greener than the crap they're talking about.
Yeah.
You don't go build a Tesla car with solar.
Right.
That car was built with a lot of fossil fuel. It may use electricity, but the tires were built with fossil.
Yeah.
The plastic, everything inside that vehicle was built on the back of an oil barrel.
That's right.
Sure.
Yeah.
So unless we want to eat with, hell, I don't even know what you could eat with, but maybe wood sticks, the chopsticks. I'm pretty certain we're an oil economy for many, many, many years.
Yeah, I think so as well.
We just need to be more respectful. I would also maintain that the price of energy today is grossly undervalued, grossly. And my debate on that would be, let's do a survey of how many people turn their laptops or computers off at night when they went to bed. Zero.
I don't. Mine
That
stays
means-
on.
That means energy is priced incorrectly.
Yeah.
If your wife drives to the fucking grocery store for a pack of cigarettes, gasoline is too cheap.
Yeah.
Come on. And I see this all the time.
Yeah.
ACs are left at 72. We have to have a perfect environment. My television has to have an instant on. No computers are turned off. I got alarm systems. I got TVs that, if you disconnected every TV in the United Kingdom, 72 million homes, 72 million people, not 72 million homes. If you disconnected the TVs at source, one 400 megawatt power station is not needed.
Wow. Wow.
It's staggering. Like our convenience.
Just by unplugging them.
We're massive consumers.
We definitely are. Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I'm myself. I'm one of them. I admit it.
Yeah. Well, but see, if the price changed.
Exactly. Exactly. The price changed.
That's the reason you're lazy, because you're like, it ain't worth it. Okay.
Don't have to, right?
If this was $20, I probably wouldn't drink it.
But it's not. So
probably not healthy for me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, let's kind of just finally get down with this here. So, we've been talking about this whole kind of macroeconomic landscape and, how crypto's kind of fitting into there and maybe, where their place is. And, because there's just so much nonsense going in there, for anybody that spends any amount of time on crypto, Twitter, or other social media, it's always doomsday, or it's always these really pie in the sky kind of really fringe ideas, right? And everybody kind of comes in new and picks on them, jumps on them. But so as we look about the future here, right? So we've really come a long way, I'd say probably in the last 3 years, finally, really starting to kind of change here. So in your opinion, what are the key factors that are going to kind of drive that future growth and development of the crypto market? And, how do you think that those factors are going to shape, then again, that global economic landscape? Because I think we're in agreement that they're here to stay, that they're going to keep pushing inroads throughout the world. So, what are those kind of factors that you see with that?
Well, if we go back to the earlier conversation with the horse and buggy analogy, the roads weren't built. I think that's where we are with Bitcoin right now. The rails have not been built that allow for the regulators and the users to really be comfortable. Good. Like, why did I buy Node 40? I try not to turn these into a pitch deal for Node 40. We're raising money and it's an awesome business. I have had a really good eye for moving into businesses and I know how to execute. It'll probably be the greatest investment I've ever made, in fact. And the reason that I say that is because 48 million people have a digital position, either an NFT, Bitcoin, Ether, or something like that. And less than 986,000 people that pay taxes on that. Now, why is the government upset? Well, I just told you, 986,000 people have paid tax out of 48 million who own. Look, you guys, if you think this is a place where you're not going to pay taxes, I would beg you not to share your name with me, because I will tell them, okay, you need to get the fuck out of my market because you're messing it up. We have to pay the maker. Okay. You cannot, I grew up in Louisiana. Okay. Like, you learn the rules. You have to pay the guy, the king. Yep. And we need roads. We need hospitals. You can bitch about the government if you want. Leave. If you don't want to pay the taxes, leave. I don't like paying taxes and we blow up pipelines and kill people. I wish I was stronger to go, hey, I'm not going to pay my taxes. We need to vote with our wallet. Okay. How do I vote with my wallet? I stop playing with people I don't like. I stop voting on people I don't like. I start actually taking responsibility for the decisions I make. I start speaking out about what's right and wrong. I'm willing to be, I mean, I have an FTC investigation right now. I'm like, hey, I didn't do anything wrong and I'm going to fight you over it. Okay. You cannot just keep, when somebody gets successful, go beat them up because the payment industry doesn't work well.
Yeah.
And so I think we all have to stand up or decide we are going to become slaves. Secondly, for me to have an option to be able to pick up Bitcoin, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, 20% of my position, I'm not giving up the rest of my real estate holdings and my other businesses. I'm allocating a piece of my business into this new world. I would encourage everyone to do 1 or 2 or 3% into Bitcoin only. Be comfortable with losing it. I don't know anyone that can't do 1% of their net worth into a product very diligently, very consistently, like on a weekly basis, and look back in 10 years and you will see what happened.
Yeah.
Worst case is it goes to 0. If I'm right, and there are a lot of people a lot smarter than me that have come into this space. I look at indicators, Chris, like there is the largest exodus from Wall Street ever in Wall Street's history, leaving the old world and moving into what? AI.
Yep.
And digital assets and blockchain.
Yep. Yep.
It is an exodus like I've never seen before. Okay. And they're really bright people, and they all are particular personalities like mine that tend to do things in front of the masses. People that are, like, I've always been just a little risk. I like the risk. For me, it's a little bit of I like going into the unknown and shaping a marketplace.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't do that once it's formed. I'm not significant enough. My accent's not good enough. My school, I don't know the right peoples, but I can break into a market and help shape it and form it with, some guts and a little bit of money. I think it requires more guts and energy than it does money. So I think that we're on the precipice of having the tools. Node 40 brings these tools to place where I'm either going to supply them to the accounting firms or I'll supply it to the IRS, and it doesn't matter. You're gonna fill in the form.
Yeah.
And I think the Bitcoin community needs more education on what it can and cannot do. I like regulation. I would rather self-regulate. We are going to have more losses. We are going to have more Enrons show up and try to take advantage. If I got hit with being in FTX. I didn't whine 1 minute. I know there's risk there. I have money at Binance. I have not removed the money at Binance. Why? Hey, I want these exchanges to work. Okay, you need these exchanges to work. Otherwise, I have a feeling that in the next 18 months, I'll have coins sitting at NASDAQ and ICE. And I never bought I bought Coinbase stock and then I let it go because I'm like, hey, I think NASDAQ's going to do this. Having said that, I have put more of my holdings with Coinbase because I want to support what they're doing on the lobbying front. And I would encourage everyone here, okay, I got it. You want to self-custody. I understand that. It's smart. Self-custody has a long way to go.
It does. It does.
It has to get a lot easier. And I'm not sure that you have a whole generation of people that are ready to self-custody. We have had 100 years of letting the bank take care of everything.
Yep.
So you're going to have to get over this. I carry a lot of money with me. Like when I go travel, I carry 10 gold coins and I carry some US dollars and some sterling because I don't ever know where I'm going to end up. Why I have done that since I was 28 years old. I don't know why. I don't know why other people don't do it. They think I'm crazy. And I'm like, this weighs 10 ounces.
Yeah. It's
sitting in my briefcase. I've got $10,000 in cash. It weighs about 2 ounces. It's not really, it may create a bulge in my pocket, which quite frankly, I probably need nowadays, but it's not like weighing me down.
Yeah.
Right. And then you think about a guy like me that likes to have that. Hey, what if my credit card breaks? Right. Like I'm in Amsterdam waiting for a cab. He don't want to see my freaking credit card, dude. At 2 a.m. He wants to see the big green Willie, right? Or the big pink notes. He don't want to see Bitcoin either. He really responds to the green. So that brings me to Bitcoin. Wow. Now for no weight, the weight of a USB, I can carry $1 or $1 billion.
Yep.
And I can do it with ease and freedom. I don't have anybody at TSA saying, hey, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
I'm a gambler and how the hell am I supposed to win $50,000 in Vegas and bring it back, dude?
Got to bring it back. That's right.
Okay. I was in London once, carried a bunch of, hey, what are you doing? I'm coming to gamble, man. Well, are you afraid you're going to lose it? This is the guy's question. I'm probably going to lose it, sir. And so, like I'm not doing anything wrong. And let's be clear, okay? You want to commit a crime, do not do it on Bitcoin.
Yeah.
If you want to smuggle heroin, you're going to use US dollars, okay? If you do prostitution, you're going to use US dollars. You're not going to use Bitcoin if you want to hide a heroin trade. It's not hideable.
Yep.
I have partners that are tracking you guys right now. So if you're doing it, you should really knock it off. The tracking is prolific. The tracking is so far ahead of anything we're able to do in US dollars. The problem is many of these firms didn't put financial context on this. They're just tracking the coins.
Yeah.
Authority actually went in and said, yeah, what's the financial imposition of these coins? Like, when did you buy it? What's the histogram on it? The histograms, people are putting positions on in crypto and they don't have a histogram. And by histogram, I mean, for you to you have kids?
Yes.
But one day you're hoping that if I'm right, Bitcoin will be worth a lot of money. You're going to transfer these to your kids one day. Probably you're going to be dead. And if they don't have a histogram of what you did over every year, what the cost base was for every one of those lots, how it got moved to them, you're going to probably move them from wallet to exchange, back into a wallet, back into their wallet. They're going to get raped by the draconian broke government that says, we have to build a highway and we're taking your shit because your dad didn't do the next step. He was smart and bought Bitcoin. He was dumb and he didn't spend $15,000 a year tracking it.
Yeah.
And the history part.
Why not give organizations more? Why impose this pause with so little notice? Why not give organizations more time to plan for the fact that they are about to lose, in some cases, really crucial federal funding? Why not give organizations more time to plan for the fact that they are about to lose, in some cases, really crucial federal funding, at least for a period of time?
There was notice. It was the executive order that the president signed. There's also a freeze on hiring, as you know, a regulatory freeze, and there's also a freeze on foreign aid. And this is, again, incredibly important to ensure that this administration is taking into consideration how hard the American people are working. And their tax dollars actually matter to this administration. You know, just during this pause, DOJ and OMB have actually found that there was $37 million that was about to go out the door to the World Health Organization, which is an organization, as you all know, that President Trump, with the swipe of his pen in that executive order, is no longer wants the United States to be a part of. So that wouldn't be in line with the president's agenda. DOJ and OMB also found that there was about to be 50 million taxpayer dollars that went out the door to fund condoms in Gaza. That is a preposterous waste. Focused on being good stewards of tax dollars.
Lack of education.
Wednesday, as Arizona now has its first Latina and Black Supreme Court justice in its 113-year history.
I will do the work of applying the law fairly, but I will also do so while acknowledging that access to justice is limited and there's much work to be done in ensuring that poverty or lack of education do not continue to be barriers for Arizonans.
This is the first justice appointment from Governor Katie Hobbs.
Of course, I was focused on credentials and experience, but also on appointing a justice who will uplift
high prices, inflation, especially at the grocery. The Department of Agriculture says that between 2020 and 2022, 42% of crop workers were undocumented immigrants. And in many cases, as you know, these migrants do jobs many Americans do not want to do. So how does President Trump make sure that the effort to deport people who are not in this country legally doesn't end up hurting Americans? Americans who want safe borders, absolutely, but also don't want to see even more higher prices in groceries.
Well, I mean, I'm sure it's not your position, Jake. You're just asking the question that we should supply America's food with exploitative illegal alien labor. I obviously don't think that's what you're implying. Only 1% of alien workers in the entire country work in agriculture. The top destination for illegal aliens are large cities like New York, like Los Angeles, and small industrial towns, of course, all across the heartland, as we've seen with the Biden floods. None of those illegal aliens are doing farm work. Those 30,000 illegal aliens that Joe Biden dumped into Springfield.
I'm talking about the ones that are.
But I'm explaining this. It's important to understand.
No, you're kind of changing the subject. I mean, I'm talking about the ones.
I will give me 30 minutes. I'll go as deep as you want to this.
We don't have
you
30
and your
minutes.
audience.
I don't have a third. I'm talking about the ones that work in the agriculture industry.
I'm
You can come back
to you
and we
your
can talk
audience.
about the ones in the cities. I swear.
I'll do the whole answer. The illegal aliens that Joe Biden brought into our country are not full stop doing farm work. They are not. The illegal aliens he brought in from Venezuela, from Haiti, from Nicaragua, they are not doing farm work. They are in our cities collecting welfare. As for the farmers, there is a guest worker program that President Trump supports. Over time as well, we will transition into automation, so we'll never have to have this conversation ever again. But there's no universe in which this nation is going to allow the previous president to flood our nation with millions and millions of illegal aliens who just get to stay here. And we are especially not going to allow a subset of those illegal aliens to rape and murder our citizens. So we are going to unapologetically enforce our immigration laws, and as I'm sure you will celebrate, we are going to unleash the power and might of the U.S. government to eradicate the presence of transnational threats on our soil.
So, a question about.
All right, I went a long time there without talking, without any microphone. Sorry about that. But anyway, we're going to end the broadcast now. We may come back here in a little bit and do a little bit more. So y'all stay tuned and listen to Jack McCall on the Credit Stacking Show. God bless you. Have a great night and see you soon.